Election 2024 is over. America has voted, and both sexism and racism have won the day. On Liberal Dan Radio, we will hold everyone accountable, from the media that failed to report the threat that Trump poses to this nation, to the people who supported him. We will pick up the mantle to educate the people about his actions, from being dictator on day one, pardoning January 6th domestic terrorists, implementing Project 2025, and any other draconian measures he tries to pass. And now, the resistance begins. And welcome back to a special day episode, or night, I guess, of Liberal Dan Radio, Talk from the Left, that's right. This is your host, Dan Zimmerman, coming at you from New Orleans, Louisiana, during the season of Mardi Gras. And we will be opening the phone lines, I guess, earlier than normal, because I'm going to welcome callers. I do want to try and see if I can get some conservatives to chime in here, you know, with respect or whatever, and because I would definitely want to hear, hear them explain this, hear them. Thank you, Aaron, for the subscription over on Twitch. Appreciate you. Hey, Arvilla, good to see you as well. But yeah, I would love to hear this. I mean, I'm sure there's going to be a ton of stuff that I'll be able to get the next time I listen to, I guess, Jeff's show, which won't take place till at least Wednesday, simply because I'm sure he's off Monday and Tuesday, and the apologia that's going to take place with that is just going to be absurd, I'm sure. I mean, we've already seen several examples of what went down today, and what went. I was toying on whether or not we should, do a show today or not, because today being the boycott Friday, where people are boycotting businesses or whatever, but we're still encouraging people to support small businesses. I'm like, well, what better small business to support in these trying times, in this dystopian Trump era, than to support the growing podcasts who are trying to fight back, considering the fact that the corporate media is not doing their job well enough at all. I mean, I was watching MSNBC tonight, and the host, I think it was Michael Steele, he couldn't even pronounce Reuters right, like the news agency Reuters. How do you work in the media and you can't pronounce Reuters right? I mean, I don't speak perfectly. Thank you so much for the gifted subs. I'll interrupt that. Thank you so much, Mad Mac, for gifting 5 subs. Oh, we got 5 Eggs got some as well. 21st Century Suffragettes got some. Crazy Insane Alien got one. So that's people who have been around a lot. Thank you so much again for that gift. Anyway, how can you be in the media and not be able to pronounce Reuters correctly? Come on, like, get real. And this is, I mean, they took him and replaced Joy-Ann Reid with him. And while she wasn't necessarily one of my favorite people on the network, she wasn't my least favorite either. I have never seen her totally mess up things like, Lawrence O'Donnell has done, or was it Alex What's-Her-Face? I mean, I'd rather Simone Townsend Sanders. That would be, she's fine so far. I haven't seen anything egregious from her yet, which is a pretty low bar that I'm judging the corporate media types by the fact that they haven't done anything egregious, which is not what we need. We need people who are going to stand up and point out the ridiculousness of what's going on, who won't be prevented from their corporate ownership or whatever, from saying the truth about what's really going on. And there's a lot of truths that are going to be going down as it pertains to, today's little debacle at the White House, which of course conservatives are loving, and the rest of the world is laughing at us because it's an embarrassment. But anyway, so first of all, let's give shouts out to people in the chat. Josh, Aaron, CR, Cynthia from Texas, Hedge Enemy. I think next time I see Hedge Enemy, I'm going to have to play the Oklahoma sound from Dirty Rotten Scoundrels that we were talking about in the chat prior. Hey, Ranger Guzman, good to see you. over on Twitch. We got Nick. We got, let's see, Roxanne, Jojo Mojo. Already said hi, Roxanne. Mad Mac, who already gifted 5 memberships. Thank you so much. Kelly, thank you as well for joining us. Just scroll and see who I might have missed. If I've missed anybody, if I have missed you, I do apologize. I say hi, Jackie, Kelly Anderson, Tim. Good to see you as well. Scott, did something happen today? Yeah. Just something minor, Donald Trump proving himself to be an embarrassment, weak, ineffective, and Vladimir Putin's stooge. Those small things. So, hey, Michael McAndrews, good to see you as well. Penny, thank you for joining as well. Thank you all for joining. Hey, Jeff, Doge is a heist. Hashtag Doge is a heist. Thank you, Aaron, for the super chat as well. Are you actually in northern Uranus, or are you just calling the area that you live in because you're north of Uranus just northern Uranus? Like are you in the tramp stamp of Missouri? Because that's right above. Well, you go enough above the anus, you get to the tramp stamp, right? So, but yeah. Anyway, so first and foremost, before we get into the meat of the topics, do want to say that Cassie is home. She has finally come home from the hospital, and this is not to say that everything's perfect and better. I mean, I already had I had to buy, what was it, $250 something worth of drugs, prescription drugs, I should say, before any YouTube censors jump in and be like, oh no, he's talking about the drugs. No, talking about prescription drugs and other things needed for her recuperation, and some of mine as well. Honestly, to be honest, there's some of the stuff that I had to get for myself as well, but still most of it was hers, and it's just added costs above and above and above and above whatever we expected to pay this year. So I'm just going to go ahead and just share the GoFundMe in both of the chats. If you've not shared that GoFundMe, please do so. If you have shared it, do it. Please share it again. And also, if you can consider donating a little bit just to help the family out. It's just one of the many ways that you could help the show, help me out on this Boycott Friday, where you're boycotting, the big businesses or whatever. Other ways to support the show: always remember to like the video, share the stream, subscribe to the channel, gift subs, buy super chats. You can also comment, share, like, and otherwise engage on other posts, other videos that I put up on the channel. Venmo, Liberal Dan at Venmo. Go to liberaldan.com, click the Buy Me a Cider button, or go to buymeacoffee.com/liberaldanradio for a one-time contribution as well. And also you can go to patreon.com/liberaldan or patreon.liberaldan.com. Either way gets you there, and those are all of the ways you can help. There's also Twitch. Obviously you can get free subscriptions on Twitch if you have Amazon Prime. Otherwise there's the normal cost, plus you can buy bits as well over there and gift other people. You're close. It's ZEL, Zon Zelensky, Jojo Mojo. Sorry if I misspelled his name. I'd not been to hold myself back. Slapped him with such a horrible man that Trump was awful trying to bully him. I'm confused. I don't know. Maybe I just read it wrong because it's scrolled. So, but yeah, like we'll get to the Zelensky thing in a second. But anyway, so there's the impending doom that's coming in with the fact that Donald Trump has threatened to use student loans to pay for his tax cuts for the real wealthy, for the billionaires, which means that many people are speculating that he could eliminate, the SAVE plan. I mean, he's not going to defend the SAVE plan in court. Whatever's left of the SAVE plan, he might eliminate it and force us to go into other repayment options. But those other income-based repayment options are, not as good as the SAVE plan was, which is going to mean more costs to our budget that we were not planning on making. And furthermore, there are people who are probably getting out of deferment, they're leaving school deferment, like the first 6 months you get deferred. So you can't even get any of the income-based repayment on this at this point. Like if you need to get smaller payments because you're low income, you can't even access that at this point. You just can't do it because they shut it down. So they're trying to screw over people, and this is not a stimulative to the economy. I'm probably going to go into more on this Monday. Monday. We'll do a show Monday. I'm off work Monday because it's Lundi Gras, the day before Mardi Gras, but I'm still going to do a show because,
It is what it is.
Thank you, Donald. Hey, thank you, Cynthia. Appreciate the $5 super chat. Thank you so much for that. But yeah, we first things first. Before we talk about and go over, we're going to watch the video and we're going to react to the video. The whole 7 to 10 minutes of Donald Trump making us an embarrassment, embarrassing everybody except for the people who really should be embarrassed, i.e., the people who voted for him. But first comes first. Hey, Impeccable Living, good to see you. Hold on. Let me click the link.
Oh my.
There you go. There's your sound. So, but before we get to that, we're going to enter the find out phase. But Hedge, I'm going to say one thing. I guarantee that there'll either be comments or commentary or jokes that I've made on I will make on this video that you probably haven't heard yet. So, if you want a little bit of amusement with going on with the explanation of what's going on, please stick around. But we're not going to do that part first. We're going to do the other part first, which is the people finding out phase. The other part that I talk about in my image, with Andrew Tate coming to the country, and there's lots of speculation as to how he was able to leave Europe and head over here. But the fact that he's allowed over here, Donald Trump has said that we don't want sex traffickers and rapists, even though we have somebody who is proven to be in court liable for sexual abuse. Ignoring that hypocrisy, Donald Trump has said that he wants to stop the influx of so-called rapists and other traffickers into this country, but yet Andrew Tate and his brother are allowed to come freely here. He magically got his U.S. passport back. Shocking. Like attracts like. But today we saw Megyn Kelly. Megyn Kelly goes, "You've lost your way, boys," to the Tampa Bay Young Republicans. The Tampa Bay Young Republicans, and their tweet, formally welcomes Cobra Tate and Tate the Talisman to Florida as free speech absolutists. The Tates haven't been formally convicted of any crimes and are welcome to speak to our group. We're old enough to remember when a convicted felon won the presidency. Free state. Yes. And they put convicted felon in quotes because of course they did, because they, don't believe the jury of 12 citizens of this country could possibly, hear evidence and make a decision as to whether or not Donald Trump is guilty or not. But Megyn Kelly goes, "You lost your way, boys." Did they? Did the Tampa Bay Young Republicans lose their way? No. They've been this way the entire time. If you haven't seen, especially the young men MAGA folks who are out there, all of those MAGA bros that are out there, the Doge bros, the other, Doge bags, whatever you want to call them, they've been this way the whole time. To suggest that they've lost their way is absurd. It's absolutely absurd. And it's also absurd that Megyn Kelly is, has defended Trump all this time, considering that 2016 debate where he basically said that Megyn Kelly was bleeding out of whatever orifices or whatever he was talking about, his disgusting comment, and she initially, pushed back on him. But now she's all up his ass again because, she has no integrity. But you've lost your way, boys? No. You're just finding out. If you didn't realize what they were, what the young MAGA types are, you are now just finding out. And I love the find out phase. But not to be outdone, Tommy Lahren. It's ick. Quote, right wing, end quote. You know, because she's putting right wing in quotes. She's basically subscribing to the not all Scotsmen fallacy, i.e., these people cannot possibly be right wing because they wouldn't be doing this if they were really right wing. No, the right wing has embraced and are obsessed with MAGA, are obsessed with the Tate brothers, are obsessed with all of the other people who I deal with in my playlist of Unraveling Toxic Masculinity. They love all those people, the Fashion Fit people, the whatever podcast, Andrew Tate, all of these people. All of them have been the same way for the entire time, and they're all right-wing. You don't get to just write them off because all of a sudden they've done something that you've found intolerable. You have supported this side. You have supported these intolerables, these deplorables, as Hillary Clinton so aptly described them as. They says they've gone off a cliff. No, this entire nation went off a cliff when we re-elected Donald Trump president again. But she did say one thing, makes us all look like trash. Can't word it any better myself there, Tommy Lahren. Anyway, what do you think? Agree, disagree with what I've said? Leave your comments down below. Remember to like the video, share, subscribe to the channel. And unless you're a Nazi, have a good day. So there's that. There is that. Rise, America, rise. Rise up from all the lies. Rise to share clarity. Let go of false ideology. What injures you injures me. It's time that we became free and trust our own Constitution. I mean, unfortunately, we have a president who wipes his ass with the Constitution. I mean, the Constitution is just very old one-ply toilet paper to them. And nobody should use one-ply toilet paper, but, you know. You call them degenerates. Oh, there's tons of names I could call them. I mean, I call them all sorts of shit. But, let's see. Jeff Curry. Keep staring, I might do a trick. You have boxers that say that. Hilarious. I have a pair of boxers with a genie lamp on the front of them. Maybe that's TMI. I don't know. Impeccable Living might be interested about that.
Oh my.
Anyway, yeah, no freaking Nazis allowed. Exactly, no Nazis whatsoever. And yes, Tommy is trash. But you know, I guess you look like what you are, right? If you act like trash and you support trash and you surround yourself with trash, guess what? You probably are. See, I told you. Anyway, so, hey, TV2 Live, thank you for joining. Good to see you as well. All right, so I guess the fair warning, I suppose, that we will be doing the video with Hair Donald. Now, this C-SPAN version, I think, is slightly longer than what everybody else has been showing. We're not gonna just record this and make a separate video because this is basically going to be, you know, the majority of this video anyway. So recording it to make its own separate video won't be the case. Let's see. Evie's on over on Twitch. My sister is trying to make sure her children don't have any college loans. My nephew is a junior, has no student loans. My niece starts college in the fall. Yeah, pretty much. And that's the smart thing to do at this point. But at this point, for me, I'm just screwed. If I don't have access to any income-based repayment, there's no way I'll be able to make my payment. None whatsoever. I will be just SOL. You know, whatever they have to do to me, they'll do to me. But I cannot make the full-on payment. But I signed a promissory note. And the promissory note, and conservatives love to show the promissory note. Conservatives love to talk about the promissory note. You signed a contract, you should have to fulfill your contract. Well, of course. Absolutely. Did you read the contract? I've read my contract. I read my contract and saw when I was a, you know, senior in high school, moving on and accepting my student loans via the federal application for the free application for federal student aid, whatever FAFSA stands for. I think that's the correct acronym. But I saw that there are many options for loan forgiveness, and they even added more after the fact. So you have loan forgiveness as part of the student loan promissory note. Furthermore, there's also other things like income-based repayment. And when I switched over from Sally Mae to, or whatever it was, Freddie Mac or whatever, Fannie Mae, whatever the hell the group was, Navient, I think it became Navient. Switch over from Navient to Mohila, because that was the only way to, when I was working for a nonprofit, to be able to qualify for the public service student loan forgiveness. That was the only way I could do that. When I signed those promissory notes, and included that again were the ability to have income-based repayment. And so if they get rid of income-based repayment, they're going against the terms of my loan. What to do, sue? I mean, and how do we force them to then enable us? So basically, the people who all voted for Donald Trump will have screwed me and my family by this happening. Anyway. So, we are going to, but we can talk about that. We'll have plenty of time again. Mad Mac, I don't want to hear it again, so I'll put it on mute. I get too wound up about it. I appreciate that. But you are going to miss my commentary if you do. But I understand that people are tired of hearing this. But it's very important for people who haven't seen it. It's very important to see it. But what's also important here is y'all are good when it comes to, hey, Progressively Independent, y'all are good when it comes to, understanding what's going on. But there are plenty of people who are going to be misled, either misled by conservative media, or they're going to be under-informed by the big corporate media, even on the left, even the folks who are on the left. Like, I'm sure you're not going to see, Mika and Joe doing an adequate explanation of what's going on here. I'm sure they're going to miss things. Hell, I'm sure that most of the other people on CNN, MSNBC are going to miss several of the important things and are going to focus on the wrong things, because there are many things in this video that need to be discussed. And there are some jokes to make along the way. But yes, Stephen, it's very embarrassing. Donald Trump has proven himself to be a national embarrassment above and beyond being weak, ineffective, and a Putin stooge. So, and like, I might record a little bit of this, like once I get to one of my main points that I want to make. Hopefully I don't forget the main point. But, here we go. Unfortunately, Donald Trump's big fat face right there, his big orange, horrible, ugly face, center screen, it is, wait, I'm sorry.
It is what it is.
Thank you. Yes, Trump has been a rusted asset for decades. Yes, and I posted about that too, where he's so-called king, and his policies have killed too many people. And was it Kranzy or whatever was his name? So Killer King Kranzy, that would be KKK, which I believe a nickname for Trump that would be quite adequate, don't you think? Oh yeah. Miss Lindsey Graham came out after the meeting and did a presser and glucked Trump's taint. Exactly. Well, that's the thing. Like, it's like I don't know if it's human centipede or not, but you have the situation of, you have Trump, kissing Putin's ass, and then you have the Republican legislators kissing Trump's ass, so they just form a giant human centipede. But it goes on and on and on. So, yeah, Zelensky acted presidential, unlike the bloated bamboozer. Yes, anyway, so let's start playing. It starts off with a question, and we will go on from there. And you'll see me in the middle. Or I might not even do the if you like, subscribe, whatever thing for this video. I'll just record what I intend on saying. So here we go.
And now I'm talking with my friends in Poland, and they are worried that you align yourself too much with Putin. What's your message for them?
Well, if I didn't align myself with both of them, you'd never have a deal.
He is so fucking stupid. You don't align yourself with both. That's not the point. The point is that he's aligned himself with Putin. He's taken Putin's side. And all of the MAGA folks, and look, if you want to call in, I want to open it pretty much just for I want to open it up pretty much just for cover the C-SPAN logo, just for discussing this topic specifically, but I do want I do want to urge conservatives to call in if you want to debate this, because here is one of my debate points that I will absolutely, I will absolutely make this point. You want to prove to me that Donald Trump is not Vladimir Putin's stooge? Guess what? You need to show me where Donald Trump has said that he was incorrect by saying that Ukraine was responsible for Vladimir Putin and Russia attacking it. Because Donald Trump clearly said that Ukraine was at fault. Clearly said that Ukraine was at fault for Putin invading it. That's totally victim blaming. Ridiculous. Absolutely 100% ridiculous. And as far as I know, he's never walked that back. He's never said, I was wrong. I said it, but I misspoke. That wasn't true. You even have Pete Hegseth out there saying it's, that he doesn't know who started the war, even though he himself was on Fox News covering the Russian invasion of Ukraine. So either he has short-term memory or he doesn't know how to speak properly because his face and nose are wedged up Donald Trump's orange back end, hindquarters, etc. So, anyway, let's continue this.
You want me to say really terrible things about Putin and then say, hi, Vladimir, how are we doing on the deal? It doesn't work that way.
What are you talking about? He says terrible things about everybody and then works with him. So let's rewind that a smidge, because I think that's worthy of being
recorded. And then say, hi, Vladimir, how are we doing on the really terrible things about Putin, and then say, hi, Vladimir, how are we doing on the deal? It doesn't work that way. I'm not aligned with Putin. It
doesn't work that way, except for every other almost interaction that Donald Trump has ever had. Donald Trump called Marco Rubio Lil Marco, making fun of Marco Rubio, and then now Marco Rubio, Secretary of State. Donald Trump mocks pretty much anybody. He attacks everybody. And then for some reason, these idiots work with him. So that's not the reason why Donald Trump isn't saying nasty things about Putin. Because we all know that Donald Trump has no filter when it comes to most things, except for potentially saving his own ass. Donald Trump is not insulting Putin and saying bad things about Putin because Donald Trump is Vladimir Putin's little bitch. That's the end of it. You cannot make any other statement about this because you would be incorrect. Because again, there are so many examples of Donald Trump insulting people and then working with them. So we all know that Donald Trump makes his living doing that. His political living is because of that. But yet, he's not going to do that. Again, he's lying to you. He's lying to everybody else. And I guarantee you that there hasn't been many people in the media who brought up that point. Anyway, what do you think? Agree, disagree? Leave your comments down below. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. And of course, unless you're a Nazi, have a good day. Anyway, I did do an ending for that one. Thank you, Impeccable Living, for the subscription and also for gifting 5 memberships as well. Thank you so much for that. Appreciate you. Matt, I'm listening so I can hear Dan. I'm turning out the orange fellow now. Look, if I'm wrong, if I'm absolutely wrong, and you could point me to people to more than 1 or 2 people in the news media who made that point, let me know. I will correct it. I will correct the record. I will admit, unlike Trump, I will admit that I'm wrong. So, let's continue.
I'm not aligned with anybody. I'm aligned with the United States of America. And
no, you were aligned with Putin. You do not have the best wishes of the United States at all in your heart, if you have one, or the black recesses in your chest where a heart would reside if you did have one. But yeah, no, you can't. You're not aligned with the United States of America. You're aligned with yourself and with Putin and with all the other despots that you wish to be.
For the good of the world. I'm aligned with the world, and I want to get this thing over with. You see the...
I'm in line with the world. Free the world, make it a better place for you and for me and for the entire human race. Only if you're white, though. So yeah, no.
Hatred he's got for Putin, it's very tough for me to...
Why would he not hate Putin? The idea that Zelensky wouldn't hate Putin is ridiculous. To quote Game of Thrones, you know, you only make peace with your enemies. That's why it's called making peace. If they're not your enemies, you don't have to make peace. So, clearly, there's animosity and hatred between both of the Vladimirs. They don't like each other because they're, you know, the heads of countries that are involved with a war against each other. To expect that Zelensky is not going to have harsh feelings towards the person who's responsible for the invasion of his own country is absurd. Yeah, again, you only make peace with your enemies.
To make a deal with that kind of hate. He's got tremendous hatred.
Yeah, making a deal is making peace. If they weren't enemies, there wouldn't be hatred. If there weren't and if there wasn't hatred, then there wouldn't need to be a deal made because this wouldn't have happened in the first place.
And I understand that, but I can tell you the other side isn't exactly in love with, you know, him either.
That's why you have to make the peace. Like, no shit, Sherlock.
So it's not a question of alignment. I'm aligned with the world. I want to get the thing set. I'm aligned with Europe. I want to see if we can get this thing done. You want me to be tough? I could be tougher than any human being you've ever seen. I'd be so
bullshit. Sorry, I had to sneeze there.
Tough, but you're never going to get a deal that way, so.
Of course, we got ad. We'll let the ad go, I suppose. But if you tried to call in, I forgot to turn off the Do Not Disturb. So now we can actually receive the calls. Sorry.
All right, one more question.
Hey, I will respond to this.
I like how it's one more question, but there's still like 9 minutes left in the video.
So look, for 4 years in the United States of America, we had a president who stood up at press conferences and talked tough about Vladimir Putin, and then Putin invaded Ukraine and destroyed a significant chunk of the country. The path to peace and the path...
So he's blaming Biden for talking tough, and so Vladimir Putin was like, I don't like when this Biden talk bad about me, so I invade Ukraine. What? Like... That's the most bizarre, twisted logic. Well, it might not be the most bizarre, twisted logic that has come out of J.D. Vance's mouth, but it's still up there. Yeah. And I know it wasn't lost on me that he was sitting on a couch, on a sofa, as he's talking this. Like, he's probably trying very, very hard, no pun intended, to not be very, very hard while sitting on that couch.
To prosperity is maybe engaging in diplomacy. We try
diplomacy. J.D. Vance, I'll just talk this part here. J.D. Vance wants to talk about diplomacy. Diplomacy is not airing out your opinions of each other, like between Trump and Vance and Zelensky. It's not having this discussion before you come to an agreement. Diplomacy would have been them meeting in private first, hammering out all of their issues, getting whatever deal they wanted to get signed, and then afterwards come out of that meeting and say, we discussed things, the deal is done. But that's not how Donald Trump does things. We all know this, because we remember, during the Biden administration, there were many people that were upset with Biden because he would do things diplomatically instead of doing it out in the open, because we had 4 years of Donald Trump who just aired his feelings about everything and did the debate live in front of everybody instead of talking behind the scenes, having the negotiations done, getting a deal worked out without making it all drama related, and then getting things done for the American people. For example, the whole train worker situation, the rail worker situation, where the rail workers wanted to go on strike after we were coming out of COVID, coming out of lockdowns or whatever. The rail workers wanted to go on strike because they wanted better benefits, including better sick pay. They were able to get most of what they wanted, except they couldn't get the sick leave done. But Biden needed the workers to get back to work, so he urged Congress to get that done. He put the rail workers back to work without the sick leave deal. And tons of people on the left were all just angry because he didn't do these things out in the public, I guess, and you know, that he wasn't doing enough. He didn't give the workers what they needed. But in reality, President Biden was being diplomatic. President Biden was being professional. He, behind the scenes, made sure that that sick leave deal got done, and then at some point later announced that it was done. So everybody's like, oh, Biden was working for and caring about the working man. He just also needed to care about the other things going on with his country, and he managed to get both things done. He didn't sit there and berate the people who wouldn't give them the sick pay or berate the people for striking for having the sick pay. No. He got the job done, and he didn't make a big drama about it. He didn't make a big stink about it. Just like with Israel, a lot of people were criticizing Biden for not more outwardly talking negatively about Netanyahu with his actions when it came to the response to October 7th. When in reality, it came out later that he was actually working to try and negotiate a deal with them behind the scenes. Because you don't do these things out in public, especially when it comes to international politics. You don't want to handle this all out in the open. You want to basically have the diplomatic discussions and work out your differences, get those arguments out behind closed doors, come to a resolution, and then come out with a joint show of, you know, appreciation for each other, that the fact that you made compromises and here you go, then, and then you'd be done with it. But no, Donald Trump is making this whole thing dramatic. He's the one who's orchestrating all of this stuff to do the negotiations in public first before getting a deal done, which was a poison pill. Donald Trump and J.D. Vance put the poison pill here. So they want to go ahead and criticize President Biden for how he handled Putin. President Biden would have handled this much better than Trump, and he wouldn't have been a national and international embarrassment to this country like Trump and Vance were today. Anyway, let's go on to continue talking about the video. If you're watching this clip, go back to the live stream and you'll have my full analysis there. Anyway, so that I recorded that one too. So let's continue.
The pathway of Joe Biden of thumping our chest and pretending that the President of the United States' words mattered more than the President of the United States' actions.
Well, he's right, because, you know, the actions matter more than the words. But sometimes it's both. Sometimes your actions are your words. And the actions here are them being stupid and not coming to a deal before this meeting. But that's what happens when you put these people in charge. They're not actually caring about coming to a resolution unless the resolution is giving Putin whatever it is he wants.
Makes America a good...
Oh, also wants to also make sure that if that mineral rights deal ever gets done, you know that Elon Musk is going to be somehow involved with it. You know that Elon Musk is going to basically be, you know, benefiting from those rare earth materials to help him make his batteries and his Tesla cars or whatever the crap else he wants to do with it. So,
good country is America engaging in diplomacy. That's what President Trump is doing.
Can I ask you?
Again, not diplomacy whatsoever. But let's continue.
Sure.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. So...
And look, Zelensky's like, can I ask a question? So he waited for Vance to finish his point, and then about diplomacy, and then Zelensky starts to play him like a Stradivarius.
He occupied our parts, big parts of Ukraine, part of East and Crimea. So he occupied it on 2014. So during a lot of years, so I'm not speaking about just Biden, but those time was Obama, then President Obama, then President Trump, then President Biden, now President Trump, and God bless, now President Trump will stop him. But during 2014...
Again, you know, and of course, this is him being diplomatic. Because I know in the back of his head, he's absolutely thinking that, you know, there's no way that Donald Trump is going to give me a fair shake. He's absolutely thinking that. He has to know in the back of his head that there's no way that he's going to get a fair shake when it comes to this whole thing with if Donald Trump gets his way, which is basically Putin's way. But this is Zelensky trying to be diplomatic whilst getting tag teamed upon. This is a handicap match in wrestling parlance.
Nobody stopped him. He just occupied and took. He killed people. You know what the contact line?
2015.
2014.
2014 and
2014.
Yeah.
And of course, Donald Trump doesn't even know the years. 2015. Nope, 2014. What difference does it make? It's still during the Obama presidency. Fine, whatever. But he has to pretend to be the smartest person in the room. Well, when he's around his supporters, he may very well be. But, you know, not only did Zelensky correct him, other people corrected him too, which is hilarious.
So
I was not here.
Yeah, but
That's exactly
but-
right.
Yes, but during 2014 till
I was not here. The buck doesn't stop here. The buck stops somewhere else, not here. See, these people sold their souls for more power and money they think they will be given. Of course, they needed to cover up Bolshevik Barbie's blunder with the Epstein files. Yeah, we're probably going to talk more about that on... I was thinking about whether or not to talk about today. We'll probably talk more about that on Monday. But yeah. So, let's continue.
2022, yeah, the situation the same. The people are been dying.
And Trump either just looks lost or he looks like he's about to fall asleep. I mean, maybe he's trying to listen intently, but, you know, he's listening intently with his ear towards him instead of looking at him, which, if you want to be diplomatic, if you want to use diplomacy, the way that Donald Trump is looking at him right now, or not looking at him right now specifically, shows that he's not being diplomatic. He's not showing Zelensky the respect that Zelensky should have as the leader of another country. You know that if it was Putin speaking, that Donald Trump would be staring right at him, gazing lovingly into Putin's eyes. Oh, darling, tell me what I can do for you.
On the contact line. Nobody stopped him. You know that we had conversations with him, a lot of conversations, my bilateral conversation, and we signed with him, me, like a new president. In 2019, I signed with him the deal. I signed with him, Macron and Merkel, we signed ceasefire. Ceasefire. All of them told me that he will never go. We signed with him with gas contract. Gas contract. Yes, but after that, he broken this ceasefire. He killed our people and he didn't exchange prisoners. We signed the exchange of prisoners, but he didn't do it. What kind of diplomacy?
So here's the point here, which is that the short version of that is they signed a deal with Russia back in 2019. There was an agreement to exchange prisoners. Russia never exchanged the prisoners. There was an agreement to have a ceasefire. Well, that was violated by Putin. So Zelensky is acting a legitimate question of J.D. Vance, which is, why should I believe him now when he's already went back on his word before? It's a fair question. It's an absolutely fair question to be made of the people who are trying to say that you need to be diplomatic. Well, how are you diplomatic with somebody who already has shown a failure in diplomacy because they went back on their word? They violated the agreement. Yes, of course, Cynthia, Putin's word is absolutely meaningless. And Zelensky knows that. But are Vance and Trump going to say that? Of course not, because they are beholden to Vladimir Putin.
JD, you are speaking about. What do you mean?
I'm talking about the kind
And I like how he calls him JD. That's like, okay, a little smack back, but fine.
of diplomacy that's going to end the destruction of your country.
Yes, but if you
Mr. President, with respect, I think it's disrespectful for you
With respect, no, there's no respect with respect.
to come into the Oval Office and try to litigate this in front of the American media.
And again, that is not true. Zelensky's not coming in here to try and litigate this in front of the American media. It's Donald Trump and J.D. Vance who are putting this here and doing this before signing the agreement to litigate this issue in front of the American people so that they can embarrass Zelensky. It's not even for the American people. It's for Vladimir Putin. They're doing this specifically to poison the water, to poison the well. This isn't diplomacy that fixes things. This is specifically meant to piss Zelensky off to benefit Vladimir Putin. I guess, justify Putin's continued actions. Because, oh, Zelensky's unreasonable, and I'm going to have my lackeys, Donald Trump and J.D. Vance, and everybody else in that room who's supporting. I mean, there was Russian state news media in that room. Why would Russian state news media be allowed in the room if Donald Trump wasn't beholden to Vladimir Putin? Answer me that one. Any of y'all conservatives want to try and come in here and say, oh, you're just having Trump derangement syndrome, TDS, haha. Let's continue.
Right now, you guys are going around and forcing conscripts to the front lines because you have manpower problems. You should be thanking.
And did you catch, like, Rubio there? There's been other shots of Rubio, and Rubio's just sitting there just like, what did I get myself into? Why did I agree to join this administration? This is a fustercluck. This is terrible. I really screwed up by joining this administration.
The president for trying to bring it into this conflict.
Have you ever been to Ukraine? Did you say what problems we have?
I have been to.
Come once.
I've actually watched and seen the stories, and I know what.
I've watched and seen the stories. Have you ever been there? I've watched and seen the stories. What? Yeah, the stories of what? Play on OANN, on Real America's Voice, maybe even on Fox News. The people who are going to make it agree with Donald Trump that for somehow Ukraine is to blame for Putin invading them? Yeah, I'm sure wherever you got your stories is really, legitimate media sources. Thank you, Fred Bear, for the $5 super chat. Appreciate you. Let's continue.
What happens is you bring them on a propaganda tour, Mr. President.
Propaganda tour. Again, this is propaganda right here. This is Russian propaganda, live and in living color.
Do you disagree that you've had problems bringing people into your military?
We have problems.
And do you think that it's respectful to come to the Oval?
Do you have? I mean, we did see a lot of people who were volunteering to fight Russia, to fight Putin for Ukraine, including people who weren't even Ukrainian citizens, and also people who were probably too old to normally serve in the Ukrainian military, who agreed to come up and fight them because they need to, even like old women, like grandma and grandpa getting out there, strapping a gun to their back and going out there and fighting the Ruskies. Let's continue.
Office of the United States of America.
Exactly, a very good point, Penny. And North Koreans are fighting for Russia. And that I was going to bring that point up later, but thank you for reminding me, because that point will come up later.
And attack the administration that is trying to prevent the destruction of your country.
All right, at what point, at this point on, where did he attack this administration? I haven't seen any attacks. All he did was ask J.D. Vance a legitimate question. Why should I trust Vladimir Putin, who has proved himself to be untrustworthy? And yes, exactly, Roxanne. Vance just displayed his idiocy for all to see. But he wasn't attacking the Trump administration. He was saying hopefully Trump will stop this conflict. That's what he was saying.
A lot of questions. Let's start from the beginning.
Sure.
First of all, during the war, everybody has problems. Even you, but you have nice ocean and don't feel now, but you will feel it in the future. God bless.
You don't know that.
God bless. God bless. You will not have a war.
Don't tell us what.
I think that maybe because there's language barriers, that maybe this was inartfully stated, that what the point he was trying to make, but it's like basically the point was, if you were attacked, it's more difficult for the United States to be attacked because the major powers have to cross vast oceans to come see and come invade us. But if we were to be attacked, we would probably also face problems dealing with those people invading our country. But unfortunately for Ukraine, Putin didn't have to cross a vast ocean. Putin only had to cross a land border.
What we're going to feel.
Enter your address and get a 360-degree.
Why does C-SPAN have ads? That's what I want to know. C-SPAN shouldn't have ads.
Problem. Don't tell us what we're going to feel.
I'm not telling you.
Because you're in no position to dictate that.
That's exactly what you're doing.
It's not your position to dictate. I'm the only dictator here. Wait, did I say that out loud?
You're in no position to dictate what we're going to feel. We're going to feel.
I'm the dictator, not you. I was dictator on day one, not you. You can't dictate. I'm the only dictator in this room.
Very
You will
good.
feel influenced.
We're going to feel very
I'm
good and
telling
very
you,
strong.
You will feel influenced.
We're strong. We're so strong. We're super strong. How strong? Like an ox. Or maybe at least a small badger.
You're right now not in a very good position. You've allowed your
Well, clearly he's not in a good position because he's being invaded by Russia. Clearly it's not a good position. It's made even worse because the president of the so-called free world, which I doubt he is now anymore considered the leader of the free world, but the leader of the free world is backing Vladimir Putin in his invasion and putting the blame on Ukraine. So of course he's not in a good position. He's not in a good position because the entire world tried to blame Putin and Russia for invading it and vilify them because they should be rightly vilified to do that. And the United States at the UN said, no, we're not agreeing with it. We're gonna veto it or whatever. We're voting against the condemnation of Russia. You should be condemning Russia, but he's not because he's Putin's stooge.
yourself to be in a very bad position, and he happens to be right about
From the very beginning of the war.
You're not
Mr.
in a good
Brown,
position.
I
You don't
was
have the cards right now. With us, you start having
not playing
cards.
cards.
But right now, you
I'm
don't.
very
You're playing
serious,
cards.
Mr. President.
You're
I'm
playing
very
cards.
serious.
You're
I'm
gambling
the
with the
president
lives
in
of
war.
millions of people.
You think
You're
you-
gambling with World War III.
You're gambling with World War III, and that's the point I was going to make, Penny. You're gambling with World War III. No. Putin is the one who's starting World War III, because he's invading a major country. He's invading another country, uncalled for, and then as he's losing the war, he has to go get North Korean troops to fight for him. So right now it's North Korean troops and Russian troops fighting against the Ukraine. That's starting the World War. That's Putin doing it. It's not Zelensky doing it. You can't tell the victim of an invasion that you're starting a war. You're threatening World War III just because they don't capitulate to the people who invaded them. It's always the fault of Putin. It will always be the fault of Putin. If anybody looks back on history, and if this does start a world war, the history books are going to, if they're correct, will say that it was Vladimir Putin who went in there and invaded Ukraine.
You're gambling with World War III. And what you're doing is very disrespectful to the country, this country. That's back.
I don't think it's disrespectful at all. I'm sitting here and thinking of all the people in that room who have the title of president somewhere in their title, that Vladimir Zelensky is the one who's the most presidential of the three of them. And I don't feel disrespected. No, most of y'all don't feel disrespected. Donald Trump feels disrespected because, well, he's not somebody deserving of respect. That's what happens when you act as somebody who's not deserving of respect. You get disrespect. Shocked, I say. See, Floyd, I believe he's trying to tell Trump and them about economics ups and downs, and they grow wheat. I mean, there's so much things that they do that affect the world. That is what Zelensky is trying to say. Yes, absolutely. I would give my left ... hand to have an opportunity to do that. We wish we could yell at Trump, who the hell do you think you are? Yeah, give left something, that's for sure. Let's see. Saw someone's comment today, Ukraine voted for a clown and got a leader, the U.S. voted for a leader and got a clown. Well, pretty much. But the thing is, we knew we were getting a clown. The ones that voted against him knew that Donald Trump was a clown. We knew he was a clown in 2016. And we knew he'd be a clown again. And we knew he'd be a Russian stooge again. But, you know. Sorry.
It is what it is.
Thank you, Donald. Yes, fear-mongering fool is what Donald Trump is. And that's all the conservative talking points was that Zelensky is threatening World War III, but he's not, because it's Putin's fault. Putin is the one who's responsible for this. See, Trump wants to be the peace POTUS, but it's not going to happen. He wants the Nobel Peace Prize. It's never going to happen. Of course not. Yeah, Ukraine didn't have to get North Koreans to come fight for them. I can't listen to Trump's screechy voice. He sounds like someone without actual knowledge or experience in these situations. Well, I mean, that's obvious. Trump is the one who raised his voice first, and Zelensky is so patient, he is a saint. I would have decked Trump. Well, with all the Secret Service in there, even I would have shown restraint in that situation.
Respect to you.
Far more than a lot of people said they should
Have
have.
you said thank you once? This
A lot
entire
of
meeting?
times.
No, in this
Even
entire meeting,
today.
have you said thank
Even
you?
today.
You went to Pennsylvania and campaigned for the opposition in October. Offer some words of approval.
Just because he goes to Pennsylvania, I don't know what the deal is with that. Did he campaign for Harris? I don't know. But maybe he thought that he had a better chance of his country surviving if Harris won instead of Trump. Shocked. Everybody with a brain understands that. But, have you thanked us? You don't do the right thing to get thanks. You do the right thing because it's the right thing to do. And the Trump administration is not doing the right thing. That's how we know the difference between the two parties. That's how we know the difference between the Trump administration and the Biden administration. The Biden administration would do things like, get infrastructure bills passed that gives, broadband internet, high-speed internet to rural areas, most of which vote for Donald Trump and not for Joe Biden. But President Biden didn't place any requirements that the people who get that funding have to put Biden's name on it, that they have to thank Biden, that if for example, Governor Landry here in Louisiana wants to launch what was called Gumbo 2.0, bringing high-speed broadband internet to rural areas, Biden didn't condition that on, if you're going to take this money, you have to thank me and kiss my ring. No, Biden did that because it was the right thing to do. He didn't do it seeking thanks. He did it because it was the right thing to do. That's what leaders do. Leaders do things because it's the right thing to do. Sycophants do things for the recognition for themselves. Now, of course, there's, all politicians at some point want some sort of recognition, but because they need some recognition to be able to get reelected. But at that point, well, I guess Biden was seeking to get reelected, but he didn't even worry about it. He didn't condition it. Donald Trump would condition anything that he could possibly condition any actions on of kissing his ring first. Kissing his ring or his butt or his other ring that's near his butt, his cinnamon ring, so to speak.
Appreciation for the United States of America and the president who's trying to save your country.
And that's a load of bullshit. He's not trying to save anything. He's not trying to save Ukraine. He's trying to save Russia any further embarrassment because he's beholden to Putin and not to Zelensky.
Please, you think that if you will speak very loudly about the war, you
He's
can...
not speaking loudly. He's not speaking loudly. Your country is
He spoke more loudly than Zelensky. And now, of course, Trump is going to speak even more loudly still.
in big trouble.
Can I
Wait a
answer?
minute. No.
Can
You've
I
done a lot
answer?
of talking. Your country is in big trouble.
I know.
You're not
I
winning.
know.
You're not winning this. You have a damn good chance of coming.
He was winning this. He was winning. He drove Russia back into Russia. And the only criticism I would have of President Biden is that they put conditions on the use of the long-range missiles, that they couldn't use it to fire missiles into Russia. If they would have been able to do things like fire, missiles into oil pipelines or any other things bringing supplies to the front, it would have crippled the Russian attacks. It would have crippled Russia's ability to continue to perpetuate this war. But no. The reason why Zelensky now can't win is because Donald Trump is going to either condition help on him getting some rare earth royalty deal that's going to probably benefit Elon Musk more than it'll benefit this country. But yeah, it's absurd.
Coming out okay because of
Mr.
us.
President, we are staying in our country, staying strong from the very beginning of the war. We've been alone, and we are thankful. I said thanks
You haven't
in
been
this
alone.
cabinet,
You
and
haven't
not
been
only
alone.
in this cabinet.
We gave you, through
I
this
said thank
stupid
you.
president, $350 billion.
You voted
we gave
for
you
your
military
president.
equipment.
You
and you
voted
men
for
are
your
brave,
president.
but they had to use our military.
What about
if you didn't have
You
our
invited
military
me-
equipment,
you invited
if
me
you
to
didn't
speak-
have our military equipment,
And see, here's the thing. Zelensky says right there, you invited me to speak. And now he's stopping them to speak because, again, this was never about having peace talks. This was about trying to embarrass Zelensky on the world stage. Unfortunately for us, for the United States, what's happening is he's embarrassing us. He's embarrassing this country. He's embarrassing himself. He's embarrassing the office of these United States.
This war would have been over in 2 weeks.
In 3 days, I heard it from Putin. In 3 days, this is something
Maybe
new.
less.
In 2 weeks, of course, yes.
It's going to be a very hard thing to do business like this. I
Again,
tell you.
just say thank you.
I said a lot of times to American people.
Accept that there are disagreements, and let's go litigate those disagreements rather.
You should have litigated the disagreements in private and then come out afterwards. But that's not how Donald Trump does things, because he is not a leader, he is not diplomatic, he has no idea what diplomacy means. None whatsoever.
Rather than trying to fight it out in the American media when you're wrong. We know that you're wrong.
What is he doing right now? That's what y'all are doing. You and Trump and all of your sycophants are sitting there just doing this in front of the American media because you want to make a spectacle in it and try and embarrass Zelensky when, in fact, you've done the opposite. You've embarrassed yourselves.
But you see, I think it's good for the American people to see what's going on.
I understand, sir.
I think it's very important. That's why.
But see, if he thought it was good for the American people to see what was going on, he would not be interrupting Zelensky. He would be allowing Zelensky to have his say, then he would have a say. If you really wanted to have a debate between people publicly, then you would have a debate, and each person would have their time to say what they want to say. Zelensky is teamed up. He is a sole individual. I mean, if you saw some of the video of what was going on, the Ukrainian ambassador to the United States was just sitting there through the entire thing, just doing this, just like head in hand, just like, what the hell is going on? What the hell is going on? But yeah.
Kept this going so long.
Yeah,
You have to be
Trump
thankful.
kept this going so long because he wants the American people to see this. No, he wants the American people to see what he thought was going to be an attempt to embarrass Zelensky when, in fact, he embarrassed himself. Let's continue.
You don't have the
I'm
cards.
thankful.
You're buried there. You're people.
And as somebody who bankrupted a casino fraudulently, it's very ironic that he would start talking about how he doesn't have the cards. I mean, good. Again, just remind everybody, if you haven't seen me make this point before, there are a lot of people who talk about Donald Trump and said that he was a bad businessman because he bankrupted a casino. How do you bankrupt a casino? How do you bankrupt a casino? Because you want to bankrupt a casino, because you want to cash out as much money from it as you can and then leave all your creditors just hanging in the wind while you get all the money from it. Because he fraudulently used bankruptcies to his own personal benefit.
People are dying.
tell you
You're
again,
running
I
low
know.
on soldiers.
Don't-
Listen,
People are dying. Children are crying. If you get that, let me know.
Don't play.
you're running
Mr.
low
President.
on soldiers. It would be a damn good thing.
Mr.
And
President.
then you tell us, I don't want a ceasefire. I don't want a ceasefire. I want to go and I want this.
He had a ceasefire. Why would he want a ceasefire when he had one before and Putin avoided it? Putin ignored it. That's why he doesn't want a ceasefire. He wants a deal. What should be happening is a real president should be getting them to the table and then trying to get as much out of Putin as possible. And us sending them our weapons and everything like that so that you can defend themselves and be like, look, if you want to keep sending in your Russian troops and now the North Korean troops into the meat grinder, you go right ahead. But if you want to save face and you want to get out of this and you want to stop this war from going on, you need to get the hell out of Ukraine. You need to pull back. You need to pay reparations in returning the stolen land, repairing all of the infrastructure that you destroyed with your illegal and unjust invasion, and paying reparations to the people who's lost family, loved ones, etc. because of your illegal invasion of Ukraine. That's what a real leader would be pushing for. Not just a ceasefire. Not just an end to hostilities, but a real solution that's going to have real teeth, that's going to punish Putin if he goes back on the deal. Because Putin signed a ceasefire and there was no punishment for him for doing so.
Look, If you could get a ceasefire right now, I tell you, you'd take it so the bullets stop flying and your men stop getting killed.
Of course, we want to stop the war.
But you're saying you don't want a ceasefire.
But I said to you,
I want a ceasefire.
with guarantees.
Because you'll get a ceasefire faster than an agreement.
Ask our people about ceasefire, what they think.
That wasn't
doesn't
with
matter
me.
for you what-
That
what
wasn't
is-
with me.
Who cares if it wasn't with you, you idiot? It doesn't matter that it wasn't with you. Putin still reneged on the deal, on the ceasefire. He reneged on it now, before, and why would the people of Ukraine trust that as another ceasefire? You know, insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. That's, you know, I know it's attributed to Albert Einstein, who knows, but I've used it a bunch too. I can't claim it as myself, but, you know, a lot of people use that line. Insanity is repeating the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. But it also goes back to the whole MAGA conservative, their lesson that they learned from The Boy Who Cried Wolf. As most people with brains understand, the moral of the story of The Boy Who Cried Wolf is that if you keep crying wolf, i.e. if you keep lying, then people are going to stop believing you, and they no longer will, you know, listen to you when you say something. So when you need them to do something for you, they're not going to believe that whatever is happening is an urgency, i.e. the boy kept crying wolf, they stopped believing him. So when the wolf came in, they were like, oh, he's just lying again. But the MAGA conservative type of meaning of that story is, of course, if somebody lies to you, keep believing them, because one day they might actually tell you the truth. That's the conservative moral to the story of The Boy Who Cried Wolf. That's the problem, because they put the blame on the people who didn't believe the boy instead of putting the blame on the boy who kept crying wolf when no wolf existed. Right?
That was with a guy named Biden who was not a smart person. That was
I would say that's the pot calling the kettle black, but Joe Biden was absolutely 100% much more intelligent than... I mean, 100% is wrong, because 100% zero is still zero.
That was with Obama.
It was your president.
Excuse me. That was with Obama, who gave you sheets, and I gave you javelins.
Yes.
I gave you the javelins to take out all those tanks. Obama gave you sheets. In fact...
Obama gave you sheets, and of course I just freaking lost where I was.
Just say thank you.
I said a lot of times.
See what's going on.
I understand, sir.
I think it's very close. I don't want a ceasefire. I don't want a ceasefire.
But I said to you,
I want a ceasefire. That was with Obama.
It was your president.
Excuse me. That was with Obama, who gave you sheets.
Obama, he was full of sheet. Obama was full of sheet. But I'm full of shit, but Obama was full of sheet.
And I gave you javelins.
Yes.
I gave you the javelins to take out all those tanks. Obama gave you...
Exactly, Evie's aunt. Congress gave Ukrainians the javelins, of course, because Congress the ones that passed it.
sheets. In fact, the statement is Obama...
We don't like the fact that Obama gave away the sheets, because we need the sheets for the MAGA people so they can cut eye holes in them and they can make their Klan uniforms. So there was a shortage on sheets, and it made creating the Klan uniforms much more expensive. Just like the eggs, except they're little Klansman eggs.
Obama gave sheets and Trump gave javelins. You got to be more thankful, because let me tell you, you don't have the cards. With us, you
Kiss
have the
my
cards.
ass, and you'll have the card. You'll have the cards if you kiss my ass. There are plenty of cards up there.
But without us, you don't have any cards.
One more question.
Impeccable living. Why is Trump whining about Obama? Why wouldn't he? That's what he does. He tries to deflect all of the blame away from himself and onto his political opponents. I would love for them to be able to get rid of if they really want to get rid of the constitutional prohibition on more than 2 terms of president, like they want to put in, fine. We'll get Obama, and Obama will wipe the floor with his ass. Let's continue.
Question to Mr. Vice President. I'm sorry.
It's going to be a tough deal to make,
Um,
because the attitudes have to change.
what if Russia breaks?
The attitude has to change. Whose attitude has to change? Only Zelensky's? I guarantee you he won't say that Putin's attitude has to change. I guarantee you he won't say that his attitude has to change. He's only saying that Zelensky's attitude has to change.
ceasefire? What if Russia breaks this?
I have to poop.
Oh boy, he has to. Well, he was talking about the sheet, and now now they have to poop.
I understand that it's a heated conversation right now.
What are you
but
saying?
what if
She's asking, what if Russia
Putin
breaks the ceasefire?
What if anything? What if a bomb drops on your head right now?
But they have
Okay?
weapons.
Well, if that happened, we'd probably be in a much better place as a country. Let's continue.
What if they broke it? I don't know. They broke it with Biden because Biden, they didn't respect him. They didn't respect Obama. They respect me.
But what
That face right there. They respect me. He's like, well, not really. That right there, that picture speaks a million words. They say a picture speaks 1,000. That one speaks a million words. Just to look at his face right there when he's like, they respect me. Well, nope, they don't respect you at all. They know they can walk right all over you and they'll get exactly what they want because you're sitting up here carrying Putin's water, doing Putin's dirty work, all at the expense of the American taxpayer.
Let me tell you, Putin went through a hell of a lot with me. He went through a phony witch hunt where they used him and Russia. Russia. You ever hear of that deal? That was a phony.
Who hasn't heard of his whole Russia crap? Regardless of whether or not there was evidence that there was actual collusion or not, clearly there was Russian influence into the 2016 elections to try and discredit Hillary Clinton and help Donald Trump because Vladimir Putin knew that he would be able to control Donald Trump and he knew that he wouldn't be able to control a President Clinton.
That was a phony Hunter Biden, Joe Biden scam. Hillary Clinton, Shifty Adam Schiff.
Let's just name all of the Democrats I hate, and maybe one of them, we're going to throw the shit against the wall and see what sticks.
It was a Democrat scam. And he had to go through that. And he did go.
Poor Vladimir Putin. Vladimir Putin had to go through all of this terrible stuff in order for him to get me to be his stooge in the White House. Boo-hoo.
Through it. We didn't end up in a war. And he went through it. He was accused of all that stuff. He had nothing to do with it. It came out of
He did have plenty to do with the Russian disinformation campaign that helped Hillary Clinton lose.
Hunter Biden's bathroom. It came out of Hunter Biden's bedroom. It was disgusting. And then they said, oh, the laptop from hell was made by Russia. The 51 agents. The whole thing was a scam.
What laptop?
And he had to put up with that. He was being accused of all that stuff. All I can...
Exactly, Penny. Putin has something incredible on Donald. As I've sung in my We'll Fight Back song from the 2020 campaign for the podcast, my parody of Hamilton's We'll Fight Back. And don't forget the P-tape. That Russian hooker P-tape. 'Cause Putin has the P-tape. He won't live down the P-tape forever. So yes, Vladimir Putin probably has the P-tape and plenty of other things on Donald Trump that makes Donald Trump be like, you know what? I better have Vladimir Putin's back because he's going to have mine all he wants.
Say is this. He might have broken deals with Obama and Bush, and he might have broken them with...
Bush? What? Bush? Again, Joe Biden was apparently too old to be president, yet and too senile, but he's now talking Bush? What? The man's demented. He's delusional. He has no freaking clue what's going on. None. Bush? Fucking dumbass. They are absolutely obsessed with Hunter's hog. Yes, they are. Hunter Biden's laptop and his penis and everything else related to Hunter Biden. They're obsessed with Hunter Biden. Obsessed. See, Synthal, it kills me that the federal government had 4 years to deal with this threat and they only managed to mildly inconvenience him. What do you mean, mildly inconvenience who, Synthal? Putin? Again, by giving Ukraine the weapons necessary for them to fight back against the aggression of Vladimir Putin and the Russians, they had Russia pushed back. They had it dealt with. If Biden would have, not been forced out, and if Biden would have won, or if Vice President Harris would have won, the aid would have continued to Ukraine. And Ukraine would have continued to push back against Russia. And Russia has lost tons of people. Tons of Russian troops, and I guess North Korean troops as well, have died trying to invade Ukraine. So I got about half a minute left or so.
He did, maybe he didn't. I don't know what happened, but he didn't break him with me.
That's the only thing that Donald Trump has said truthful this entire time. I don't know what happened. I mean, we could just end it there. I don't know what happened. Oh, Synthal, I meant the throne of Trump. He missed some golf days. Oh, yeah. Okay. I misread you, Synthal, but thank you for the first time chat over on Twitch.
He wants to make a deal. I don't know if you can make a deal. The problem is, I've empowered you to be a tough guy. And
no, Biden empowered Zelensky to be a tough guy. He, Donald Trump, is imploring Zelensky to cower and cave in and give in and let Russia have whatever it is that Russia wants. Or specifically Putin to have what Putin wants.
And I don't think he'd be a tough guy without the United States. And your people are very...
I mean, he could be a tough guy without the United States, but he would not be showing as much strength as he could without the United States' help. But that was the United States under Biden. Under Trump, no. Ukraine is weakened much more.
Brave. But you're either going to make a deal or we're out. And if we're out, you'll fight.
Well, that's what Zelensky wants. He wants a deal. He doesn't just want a ceasefire. He wants a deal. He wants requirements on that deal. He wants there to be consequences for violating the deal. That's what he wants. And that's his job as president of Ukraine. He absolutely needs to fight for these things so that he can get what he wants. And of course, if the so-called art of the deal guy should understand that when you negotiate for something, you don't negotiate from the point where you're willing to accept. You negotiate from, far away from that, far enough away where you can be seen as reasonable, but also be seen as, you can be seen as reasonable, but you also need to say, like, okay, this is something that I know I won't get, but I'll be able to negotiate myself back to what I'm willing to accept. Period. That's what Zelensky's doing by making the demands he's making. Trump is using the force of the American public to force Zelensky to taking a bad deal for the Ukrainian people to benefit Putin. That's the difference here. Because the so-called art of the deal doesn't know how to make deals.
Fight it out. I don't think it's going to be pretty, but you'll fight it out. But you don't have the cards. But once we sign that deal, you're in a much better position.
Zelensky's like, say cards again. Say cards one more time. This could have been like a scene from Pulp Fiction. Like Jules, or was it saying, whatever, Samuel Jackson's character going, say what again? Say what? He just looking at Trump like, say cards again. Say cards one more time. And then if J.D. Vance says something else, he'd be like, I didn't ask you a goddamn thing. I mean, this could so be part of Pulp Fiction.
But you're not acting at all thankful. And that's not a nice thing. I'll be honest.
Why would he be thankful when you're trying to bend him over and screw him? Thank you, Seha, for continuing to be a member, continuing to be a liberal Danimal for 4 months. Oh, wait, you're a figment of my imagination. I'm sorry. Yeah, Zelensky steaming. I mean, it's just, whew.
That's not a nice thing. All right, I think...
You're mean to me, Zelensky. Don't be mean to me. I'm deserving of respect. You know who deserves respect? You know how you get respect? You don't gain respect by saying that you deserve respect. You gain respect by earning respect. Again, quoting Game of Thrones again. No true king has to say, I am your king. Which is why Donald Trump is not a true king, because we don't have those things in this government. We don't have those things in this country. We've had a war about that. But if you have to say that you are, if you have to say I am king, you are no true king. Game of Thrones can give you a lot of life lessons, apparently.
I think we've seen enough. What do you think? Huh? This is going to be great television, I will say that. All right. We'll see what we can do about putting it together. Thanks, sir.
And there you go. We have Zelensky and the Stooge, the Putin Stooge, in there arguing with each other. You know, Zelensky is making good points. Trump is being Russia's little bot. Ridiculous. Yeah, Jeff Curry, he's an expert at cards. He did great with casino games. Well, he did. He made tons of money on casino games because he bankrupted his own casino, enriching himself. Again, that's one of the main things that I always harp on, is that people, one of the biggest mistakes I think that people made in the previous campaign was that they tried to focus on him being a bad businessman, which he still is, could very well be a bad business person. I mean, he is. But by focusing on his using bankruptcy as being a bad businessman wasn't the argument to make. The argument to make was always he's a corrupt businessman and he used bankruptcy in corrupt ways to enrich himself and his families. And he did it many times over. So did he fail at a casino? He probably could have kept the casino being open long time, but he probably didn't want the casino to be open long time. He wanted the casino to be able to make as much money as possible in the short term so he could cash out, use his golden parachute, and stiff all of his creditors. Because that's what he does. That's how he makes his money. He's a con artist. He's a snake oil salesman. He's a scammer. Trump University. All these other things that he comes up with. They're all scams. They're all ways to circumvent the system. Trump shoes, Trump watches, Trump Bibles. Oh, I'm sorry, he didn't have watches. He had a concept of a watch. But all these things were ways for Donald Trump to get money funneled to him to support his campaign from external sources. Like, people could go in and buy the most expensive watch available on the Trump Watch website, and he'd make money off of it. And he could make the money off of it from foreign people who can't, you know, donate to campaigns for president any other time. Impeccable Living, I closed my Amazon account today. I'm never shopping there again. Well, you know, because of Bezos and what he did with the Washington Post. I mean, that's understandable. Of course, if you do that, you can't support Liberal Dan Radio Talk from the Left. That's right, over on Twitch. But you can support it other ways, and you have today. You did today because you continued as being a liberal Danimal, and you've gifted 5 memberships earlier. So appreciate that, and Mad Mac, and everybody else who has done that. So, but yeah, let's go back. A true gilded shit show, absolutely. And then, see, I thought when they first reported the whole issue, I thought that, you know, that Zelensky himself left. No, they kicked him out of the White House. They said, GTFO, get out. You're no longer welcome here at this point. Get out of the White House. Like, and then, you know, and Trump's like, apparently the diplomats from Ukraine tried to contact and try and get talks restarted again. And Trump's like, I don't want to talk to him today. He was too mad. He upset me too much. He is such, and it's not just that Trump is weak and ineffective and a stooge for Russia and Putin. It's not just that. He's so fragile. If you don't kiss his ass, he gets so angry and he can't stand it. The fragility of Donald Trump is, you know, he's so fragile that he is a swastika truck going into water, getting a car wash, because apparently you have to set the settings right on your swastika, you know, Uber truck or whatever, or else your truck will die in a car wash. And that's what Elon Musk wanted to sell the U.S. government. That's what the U.S. government apparently wanted to buy, is some of those swastikars, you know, but extra armored up. What, extra armored up except they can't handle water? Dumb. Forgot to boycott and make KFC. Damn my tummy. We can make up for it. Only essential expenses today. Thank you, $2 from Nick. Appreciate you greatly for that. Thank you, Impeccable Living. I appreciate it. I know you sent me a Venmo the other day, too, and I was very appreciative of that. Appreciative of everybody who does support the show. But again, you don't have to support the show just monetarily. There's more than just monetary ways to help. I do appreciate, of course, any of the monetary help that takes place. But, well, I appreciate that. But again, if you can't, I mean, this is tough times. It's very difficult. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much for that, Impeccable Living. Appreciate you. You know, anything that y'all do, anytime you interact, anytime you do the hundreds and you keep clicking the hearts and you do emoticons and you do, you know, you chat and chat, you talk about things, you share videos, all of the free things that you can do to support the show will help the algorithm out, because as we all know, Al Gore needs more rhythm, right? So let's see. I think fragile is the only aisle he is. Well, yeah, he's definitely not virile. No, I disagree with you on that point, Josh. He's not just fragile, he's also senile. That's another aisle that he is. Yes, Josh, yes, there is probably another aisle, and senile is one of the many ones. Let's look up, shall we? We can look. I thought of senile off the top of my head. Words ending in aisle. Oh, that's just like not by letters. Wow. This page may contain content that is offensive or inappropriate for people to see. Pedophile. There's another one. Pedophile. Because he hung out with Epstein, and if you hang out with Epstein that much, I'm going to question. And we will talk about, again, the Epstein thing probably on Monday. We'll also probably talk about the, at some point we'll talk about the Gene Hackman thing, because that's just weird. But first came out there was no foul play. Then it came out that they've been passed away for a while. And then there was supposedly drugs or prescription drugs near one person and not the other. So I think there's plenty of more time to actually learn what happened before I actually wanted to start discussing what happened with Gene Hackman and his wife and his poor dog. But yeah. He's vile. That's one. He's vile. He's a pile of crap, but I mean, that's not necessarily ending in aisle. Bile. He is bile as well. Volatile. He's definitely not agile. Docile. He definitely was docile in that meeting where Musk was talking with his cabinet. Futile. Would he be futile? Or it's just futile thinking that he'll be able to do anything. Hostile. He was definitely hostile during the meeting. I think I made my point. And you understood there were probably more words that ended in aisle, but, you know, there we go. There's plenty of aisles that he was. Hey, Dean, let's see. What else did I missed? Did I say hello to Suzanne? If I didn't, hello to Suzanne. We got Jackie, we got Janelle. A lot of the J Squads here. Thank you for the J Squad. To Jackie, are you on Blue Sky? If so, check my DM. Again, I am on Blue Sky as well. Liberal Dan Radio on Blue Sky. Liberal Dan Radio pretty much anywhere that you want to be. Anywhere you want to be, and some of the places you don't want to be. So, like, again, I understand, like, how Sparks the other day was making a point about, hey, David, it's good to see you. He was making a point about not using Twitter. You know, I've been trying to wean myself off Twitter more and more and try and use Blue Sky more and more. But, you know, when the opposition is on Twitter and you want to be able to report on the opposition, it's hard to not be on Twitter. So if I didn't have to do research for the podcast, I probably would jump off Twitter and let that be the end of it. But I have to, you know, get information. You know, I wouldn't have been able to talk about the Megyn Kelly thing if I wasn't on Twitter, right? So, let's see. Liberal Dan still trying to get the Facebook sparklers here. Only see Alton Gillespie and Kelly Anderson so far. I appreciate your help, Cynthia. I really do. Fred Bear, need a Trump break later, everyone. Great show, Dan. Thank you so much, Fred. Appreciate you for showing up, for being here. All of y'all, I really appreciate it as well. Let's see. Let's scroll back up and see if I missed anything. And I do try and follow everybody back, but I'll log into Blue Sky and there'll be like 40, and I don't necessarily. I try and follow back as many people as I can. I know that I've probably missed some of y'all, and if I haven't, just let me know and I will. Tim, where's Jolie? I mean, this wasn't a regularly scheduled show, and she probably has work. I know Jolie has had a weird schedule too, so sometimes she hasn't been able to make it some of the other shows as well. Again, totally understandable. Everybody has to pay the bills, so I do not begrudge anybody for working during the show. Be like, damn it, you should be always watching Liberal Dan Radio. Talk from the left. That's right. No. So she may very well not be at work and be doing something else. But again, it was fairly last minute when I announced. But announced everywhere, and Aaron's holding up the slack, and that's I appreciate both of them greatly for all of the things that they do for my show. But yeah, let's see. Jeff still sedated a bit when I got home, though. Bought son drum set when he was 8. I put that with crap so much now he's a singer. That is kind of funny. Did you try to encourage his drum dreams and now he just sings? Well, I mean, Phil Collins started off as the drummer for Genesis when Peter Gabriel was the singer, and he was the drummer for Genesis as well, and then he moved up and started singing lead. So I guess there are definitely drummers out there who then become bigger and better things, like the lead of the act. So appreciate you, Jackie. Thank you so much. Suzanne, he fell again 2 days ago and broke it. Oh, that's terrible. I'm very sorry to hear that. Let's see. Romper room. Yeah. Romper, domper, stinking do. I see you and you and you. Let's see. We've behaved tonight. Didn't see Wes or Gibson, so that helped. Well, I mean, I've pretty much blocked Wes. So, because he just got too aggressively annoying. And I had to just, cut it. It was too much for me. I was going through too much stuff and I could not handle it. Gibson, who the hell knows what user account he's going to use to whatever. Did I turn off the call-in thing instead? Oh, I had it on the other. I had it on the other thing. I'm probably not going to keep the show on that much longer because I do have to go help my wife. I'm sure. She probably has some medicines to take and everything like that. Again, she is home, but she is currently sleeping in the bed that we have downstairs that my mother-in-law was sleeping in when she was living with us. It's difficult to walk, and it's difficult, it's difficult for her to walk. She has a walker. Sometimes, a couple times, I had to, wheel her from the bathroom to out to the to her bed area. So there's, I think physical therapy starts on Wednesday. There's a ton of stuff that she's still going to have to go through. We're not out of the woods anywhere near soon. But compared to where we were 3-4 weeks ago, we're obviously in a much better place because she's not in the hospital. She's home. She can actually taste things instead of, everything tasting like garbage. Before I did the show, I made pizza tonight. So it was gluten-free pizza. Costco actually has a pretty darn good, for what it is, thin crust gluten-free pizza that, it's a cheese pizza. We add toppings, so I added pepperoni, added bacon, and she enjoyed it. And so much better than the hospital food, except for the food that I got her on Valentine's Day, which we had a nice romantic faux candlelight dinner on Valentine's Day because, well, I wasn't going to not spend Valentine's Day with my wife. So that's what we did. And apparently, again, we were the talk of the hospital. Apparently, lots of nurses were spreading the word about the awesome couple that was there talking of, having a Valentine's dinner in the hospital. So anyway. So you wonder if Phil's dad had to deal with drumming during Jeopardy. I don't know. He seems to drum while I'm watching Jeopardy. He is too loud, and I can't hear the answers or the questions or whatever. Anyway. Thank you, Floyd, again, for joining the show. Appreciate it. But yeah, we are going to... I may also very well in a little bit, if once I know that Cassie's dealt with, I may come online with nerdydan.com and do a little bit of streaming that way too. Maybe. I don't know if that's for certain or not, but at this point it's maybe. I may do that. Not necessarily. We'll see. We'll see what Cassie needs. We'll see if she's asleep. We'll see everything, whatever. But anyway. So I guess we will go ahead again. I still haven't found a good outro music. Some good outro music to play while we're leaving on Twitch. So if you're watching on Twitch, it's going to be a hard exit. Otherwise, if you're not watching, if you're watching on YouTube, we will have the standard outro music that we normally have. I do intend on being on regular time Monday and Wednesday next week, 8 p.m. Central. Also, will be on. I'm contemplating. One of the reasons I might do streaming tonight with the gaming stuff is because I may very well do another episode of Liberal Dan Radio on Tuesday, because there's supposed to be the joint session of Congress deal apparently that's going on Tuesday. So if that's going to be going on, we may very well have to cover that as well. So let's see. I'm joking. Sudden new no drumming during Jeopardy, or else. Anyway, so thank y'all on Twitch so much. We're doing a hard out, and then otherwise we will be doing the regular Nimbus thing. I'll try and post the videos that I recorded during the show up relatively soon, and I'll instead of making them wait till tomorrow, I'll probably just post them tonight. So if you see them up tonight, make sure to share them out. Make sure to share this show, because this isn't that long of a show compared to a lot of the other ones. So. But I appreciate every one of you for joining tonight on this special episode of Liberal Dan Radio, Talk from Left, That's Right. Do all of the free things to help out, and if you can afford the GoFundMe or whatever, please share that. If you can't afford to contribute to that, please share that as well. Just say, hey, the second best YouTube show after Hal Sparks needs your help, because his wife is in and out of the hospital for almost 2 months now, and she's finally home, but there's still lots of stuff to do, lots of stuff to buy, lots of stuff that needs to be taken care of. So anyway, and some of you might actually think I'm the best show. Some of you might think I'm the fourth or the fifth, but I don't try and put myself over Hal, because without Hal, I wouldn't be where I am today. So shout out to all the sparklers, shout out to all the Danimals, shout out to everybody else who watches all the other shows. Go hang out at Dude, at Carbon, help out Boston Brian, Trucker John, TV2 Live, 21st Century Suffragettes, and anybody else who's a friend of the show. Go to liberaldan.com, click the Friends of the Show link, and plenty of the Friends of the Show links are there. If I'm missing one, email me, liberaldanradio@gmail.com. Let me know I missed one, and I'll be happy to add one to that link. Anyway, thank you so much for coming by. Appreciate y'all. Peace.